everyone, so today I am here to do a very highly requested video, and that is my favorite manga, manga recommendations, and honestly my manga collection, because all of my favorite manga I own. I like, very similar to books, I just get rid of manga that I don't like. So yeah, this is my favorite manga, my manga collection, and obviously my manga recommendations. I get asked this all the time, especially ever since I started showing my manga shelf in my videos. Everyone always asks me for my recommendations on manga for people who love manga, but also manga for beginners and all of that kind of stuff. So that is what we're going to be talking about. Most of these I have read the manga and watched the anime, so I normally kind of recommend them together, but I will say if I haven't watched the anime or something like that. But yeah, so I'm going to just be showing you guys my favorite manga and talking about them, and these aren't really in any particular order, like from favorites or anything. I will tell you which ones are my all-time favorites when I hold them up, but they're just kind of in a random order. I'm going to talk about shoujo and shonen separately because they're different. If you guys don't know, shoujo is kind of contemporary, cutesy, normally romantic, and shonen is more action and adventure and fantasy, magic, stuff like that. So I have way more shonen than I do shoujo, so we're going to talk about shoujo first. So I'm going to start with the one that I always recommend to people to start with shonen with, and that is Ouran High School Host Club. I have volume 18 because for some reason my library had every single volume except for the last one, so I have volume 18, but this is the best manga in my personal opinion to start with. Ouran High School Host Club I read and watched back in late elementary school, middle school, and it is just so much fun. It's only 18 volumes, which is decently length, but not too long in my personal opinion. I feel like once you hit 20 something volumes, it gets a little bit out there, but if it's under 10, sometimes it feels a little short. And this is basically about a girl named Haruhi who goes to an elite prep school while she's on, I think, scholarship because she's so smart, and she has short hair like a boy, and when she walks into this host club, which is basically a bunch of really attractive men who host girls at this school, they think he is a boy and she is a boy, and she breaks a vase, and basically they're like, well, you have to work for us to pay off your debt. And it's just super cute. It's kind of like one of those that all of the boys involved basically are in love with the main girl. Not all of them are, but quite a few of them are, and it is just so freaking adorable. This is one of my all-time favorite shonen. I actually really want to reread it soon. I just think it is absolutely adorable, and this is definitely top 3 favorite anime. I definitely love the manga a lot, but I've read a lot more shoujo manga recently that I haven't watched the anime for, so that's why the anime is a little higher on my anime list than the manga is on my manga list, but it is definitely one of my all-time faves, constantly recommend it, and it's definitely one of my top recommendations to start with shoujo, because you get all of the cutesy stuff that you could ever want in a shoujo out of this. Another one that I read very long time ago, one of my first manga ever, was Vampire Night by Matsuri Hino. This is about a girl who lives in a world with vampires. So this is kind of a mix between shoujo and shonen because it does have that paranormal aspect, but I would mostly call this shoujo because it is mostly a love story between her and 2 guys. It's a love triangle, kind of classic. This is the one I feel like if I reread it now, I wouldn't love it as much as I remember loving it, and because I did love it when I was a kid, but I haven't read it since probably 7th grade or so, but I do remember really enjoying this. So I feel like if you're a big fan of paranormal, or if you're a big fan of Twilight, because I think I read this after my Twilight phase, this would be a really good one. I remember it being pretty badass and fun and adventure and magic and vampires, but also very cute and romancy. And the cutest manga ever that I have to recommend to any cat lover is Chi's Sweet Home by Konami Kanata. This is the cutest little manga about a cat named Chi who is a stray, and a family takes her in, and it is just so freaking cute, so cute, and it's just about her adventures with this new family. I wouldn't say this is necessarily one of my all-time favorites just because it is quite a simple story, but I absolutely love reading these volumes. They're so cute, and make you feel very warm on the inside. And also, again, if you have a kitten or have ever had a kitten, you will love this because it is just so relatable. Again, very good, like just easy, fun little story. Next up, I have a booktube favorite, and definitely one that I really enjoyed, which was Orange by Ichigo Takano. This one I feel like everyone on booktube talks about, and I read it and I did really enjoy it. I was definitely on a kind of shoujo like drought before I read this, which is why I think I enjoyed it so much, because I really enjoyed just dropping back into some shoujo. This is kind of a little bit paranormal also, but not nearly as much as Vampire Night. This is about a girl who basically gets a letter from her future self telling her how to save one of her friends because something happens to him later in life, and she believes that if her past self does something different, then he will survive. And this is a very, very hard-hitting manga, and it was just really, really good. I really enjoyed the premise of this, and I feel like it's one of those ones that I just never forget kind of thing. It's not like my favorite all-time thing like Ouran High School Host Club or anything, but is definitely really, really good. I feel like I see a lot of people recommend this as a first start, like place to start, because it is just 2 volumes, which is fun and easy to just fly through 2 volumes of it. But I don't know if this is necessarily a great place to start, because it is like the main character is a little bit like epitome of shoujo main female character. Like, she's not very strong, she just kind of is very passive, and she's not my favorite, but the side characters are awesome. And this is a shoujo that I actually loved the love interest in it. So there's that one. Next up is one that I have had so many questions about since I mentioned it on my channel and on my Goodreads, and that is it's backwards. I Want to Eat Your Pancreas by Yoru Subino. Yep, that is actually what it's called. So this is a 1-volume manga, and I loved it. I must say, I think this might be one of my top 3 favorite shoujo I have ever read. It is so good. This I like picked up on a complete whim, mostly because of the weird ass title, and I loved it. I couldn't have asked for more than this. Basically, the title comes from the fact that the main female girl has pancreas cancer, and she meets this boy because he accidentally reads her diary while she is at a doctor's appointment. She leaves it on the bench and he picks it up thinking it was just a book, and he starts reading it and realizes that it's her diary, and she comes over and they were classmates. So he's the only one who knows that she has pancreas cancer. And basically, I think in Japanese culture or some culture, she explains it in like the first chapter, that basically if you want someone to get better, you eat the organ that is failing them. So like, she has pancreas cancer, so he would eat a pancreas to help her, something like that. And this was just so sad. This is a manga that the twist got me, like it actually surprised me, and I was like, what? And also there's just this whole thing about this main character's name throughout this book. I'm not gonna say anything about it, but I guessed what his name was gonna be, and when it was finally revealed, I literally was like cheering. I was like, yes, I guessed it, because I got some references in this manga. But yeah, no, this has genuinely become one of my favorite manga I have ever read. It is one of the few mangas that have ever made me cry, like just bawl my eyes out kind of thing, and it is beautiful. It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of just interesting things, and it's a really interesting, in my opinion, take on like terminal illness and death, because like the main female character just is really against acting like she's dying, because it's obviously terminal cancer, but she very much is just like, I want to act like a normal person, like I don't want to think about my illness. And it's awesome. I loved this so much and highly, highly recommend it. Another shoujo that I very recently read but absolutely adore is I Hear the Sunspot by Yuki Fumino. Oh, this was so amazing. This is I guess you could call it, no, it's like, it's a gay romance like kind of thing. It's not like BL because it's not erotic at all. But this is about 2 boys who meet by accident, and this boy up here has hearing loss. He's not fully deaf, but he has a hearing impairment, and this boy becomes his note taker, and is basically about their budding friendship and romance, and I absolutely loved it. I think the art style in this is just so wonderful. I love it so much. I adore the characters, and I also just adore the rep in this book. This is probably has some of the best rep I've ever seen for so many different things, and it is amazing. I absolutely flew through the first 2 volumes. I'm currently reading the 3rd, and it is an ongoing manga, so that is something to keep in mind. But yeah, I think this manga is absolutely beautiful, and if you're a big fan of just lots of rep and different identities being displayed in a manga, this is a definitely good one. I feel like this is very progressive compared to a lot of manga I've read, which are very heteronormative, so, and also just not representative of anything but a cisgender, able-bodied character romance. So this was absolutely amazing, and I love it. Next up, I'm going to be talking about my only 18+ novel, and this is kind of a thriller mystery 1-volume manga, and that is Ybarra by Asumiko Nakamura, and I absolutely love this. This is definitely not going to be for everyone because it is 18+. There is very erotic and graphic sex and also violence in this book, and it is very much compared to Haruki Murakami, which is why I picked it up. And I 100% agree that this gave me hardcore Murakami feels. It like definitely just gave me that same like kind of dreamy, I don't really know what's happening, but I'm just going with it kind of feeling that I love from Murakami. But yes, this is a mystery, thriller-y, kind of weird book about a girl who dies and a man who was like weirdly connected to her, and he was like one of the only contacts she had on her phone even though they only met once, and her twin sister and all of that kind of stuff. It's really creepy, it's really weird and very different from a lot of manga I have ever read, and yeah, I really highly recommend if you do think you can handle it being 18+. This is a great manga, and it's also just 1 volume, so. And lastly, we are going to talk about my favorite shoujo of all time, which is one I feel like I do not see people talking about ever whatsoever, and that is Honey So Sweet by Amu Meguru. I love this manga so much. I have never I don't know, I feel like I read a lot more shonen than I do shoujo because I just never fall in love with shoujo as much as I feel like I would if I was a big shoujo fan. Like the last one I felt this way about was Ouran High School Host Club, and this bumped Ouran High School Host Club out of the top because it used to be my all-time favorite shoujo, and now this is. This is I always kind of compare it to My Little Monster. I only read the first volume of that and didn't really like it because I thought this did it so much better, but it's like that plot line of this very good little girl falls in love with a delinquent in her school, and their budding romance that happens because of this. I thought this manga was amazing because first off, really loved the love interest, really loved their relationship, really loved what their relationship discussed and everything, but I also loved some really tough conversations that this manga brings up. This talks about domestic abuse and what it means for domestic abuse to be a thing, and cheating, and lots of other just very serious topics, and also it does discuss sex, which I feel like most shoujos do not. This is not graphic or anything, but they do discuss it, and a lot of important topics that come with it. And I just thought this was absolutely amazing and beautiful, and it is the only thing I think I've ever cried from happiness at. Again, I am not a crier. It takes a lot for me to cry. Usually it's a death story that makes me cry, but I have never cried at something happily, and the ending of this actually brought some tears to my eyes, and I love it so much. The main characters are amazing, the side characters are amazing, and the story is amazing. I just constantly want to be rereading this. If I'm completely honest, I might reread it soon. Let's get real here. It's been a whole year since I read it, and I just cannot get it out of my head. I absolutely adore it, and the art style is definitely one of my favorite. It is super bubbly and cute, which is what I just prefer in my shoujo, if I'm completely honest. And yeah, these are amazing. I feel like I never see anyone talking about them. So next I'm going to be talking about some books that I wouldn't classify as shonen, but I also wouldn't classify as shoujo, I guess. So they're kind of like just an in-between sort of thing. Like, I don't really know where to put these, basically. The first one I have to talk about is a 2-volume series, which is Chobits by Clamp. If you know me, Clamp are some of my favorite people who make manga. Like, I just am always picking up Clamp. I've only disliked one series by them, if I'm honest. So Chobits is wonderful. This is a story, I guess it's a sci-fi, about a world where there are androids, and this young boy who like is kind of poor finds an android in the garbage and is kind of like, what happened? And he gets her back online and everything, and that is where we get, what's her name? Is it Chi? Yeah, whoa. That's weird. There's also the cat book that's cheap. But anyways, these are amazing, and I absolutely love Clamp's art style. I would say that these are definitely a little bit, like Clamp in general, is a little bit more boy humor, if I'm completely honest. But I personally really, really enjoy it. And this is just the story about this world, this sci-fi world, and androids, and Chi, and what her story is, and this boy that helps her. I really, really enjoyed this one, but it has been quite a little while since I read it, so I don't remember exact details, but I do just love Clamp and always recommend Clamp. So there's some art for you guys. The other one I don't know where to put because I have no clue is Black Butler, which is one of my favorite manga and anime of all time. This is always funny background story. This was supposed to actually be like a hardcore erotic yaoi, but the author was told that she would do better if she just made it a normal story. And again, don't know where to put this because it's like a shoujo, because there is that weird sexual tension and romancy kind of thing, and it is a little bit more contemporary, but it's shonen because the butler is a demon, and there's a lot of demons and like death and like magic and stuff like that. And like Ciel, who's our main little boy character, has like this eye and like he does things, and yeah, I think this is amazing. I haven't been keeping up with it. I stopped at volume like 11 or 12, I think, because it just got to be very long and I didn't have the money to be keeping up with it. But I absolutely love this series, and I absolutely love the anime of it also, and I think it's great. It's about a young boy, Ciel, and his demon butler, who his demon butler wants to eat his soul. But there's like a whole contract, and they're like working together until he gets to eat his soul, because Ciel needs to do something before he can die. And it's dark, but also hilarious. I feel like if you read this first volume, you're like, oh, this is just a fun little cute shoujo with a twist of a demon butler. But like then you get into like later volumes, you're like, whew. But yes, I absolutely love Black Butler, one of my top favorite manga and anime of all time. Alrighty, so next we're going to get into the shonen. I guess I'm going to start with the people that I already said I love them, and that is Clamp, and I have Tsubasa and Holic. I'll talk about Holic first just because I have less to say about it. Holic is a series that I kept up with for a couple of volumes and I watched the anime for, but I was never like the biggest fan of it. I feel like I might like it now if I go back and reread it, because it has this very dreamy, like not really knowing what's happening, episodic kind of idea to it, which I feel like I'd really like because I love Haruki Murakami so much. But I did read it a very long time ago, so I'm not sure. I don't remember loving it that much, but it is basically about this woman who has like this spot in the universe that she does things, and like a lot of characters connect, like the characters from this meet her. Her name's Yuki, right? Yuko? And this follows specifically a man named Watanuki who is haunted by ghosts and spirits, and he goes to her and starts working for her. And yeah, I feel like this is definitely one I need to give a try because I don't remember it that well. And the other one by Clamp, that this is like my second favorite manga anime of all time, like it's right under Naruto, because you guys know Naruto is going to be first, is Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles. This is just the best. Like, I have rewatched the anime more times than I have watched Naruto, probably because Naruto is so fucking long, but I have rewatched Tsubasa so often because I had Funimation as a kid, and I would literally come home and just rewatch Tsubasa. This is kind of a spin-off from Sakura Cardcaptor, which I read the first couple of volumes of, but I never kept up with it, where Chevron and Sakura are older, and Sakura loses her memories, which become feathers and go to different dimensions. So Chevron and Sakura and their bros, Pfeil and Kurogane, go off into the different dimensions to find these feathers to get her memories back. Starts out very, very simple, just get the memories back, and it becomes like the most insane story ever. Again, I was absolutely obsessed with this as a kid, and honestly, I still just constantly want to reread it. Ever since I moved, I've been like regretting not rereading it before I left my hometown, because my hometown library had every single volume, and now I don't have them. I don't know why I have this random one. I'm pretty sure it's Pfeil's backstory, which he's my favorite character, so. But yeah, it gets dark, so warning for violence and blood and stuff later on in the manga, because it starts out cute and then it becomes very aggressive. I'm going to speed through a couple that I'm not like huge on, but I do recommend. Attack on Titan, I only read the first little bit of the manga and only read only watched the first season of the anime. I kind of fell off just because I got sick of us not knowing what the fuck was in the basement, but they're okay. I hate the art style. I think it's horrible. And I liked Levi the most, so that's why I have his backstory, but these are fun if you like that. Noragami is one I've only read the first volume of, but I really enjoyed it, and I always meant to continue with it because it follows our god Noragami and a girl who kind of gets like mixed up in all of his shenanigans. But I always meant to continue with this, but I haven't because I never find it at my library. But this one was really good, and I know a lot of people love it. One that I watched the entire anime for but never continued in the manga was Tokyo Ghoul. I watched the first 2 seasons of the anime. I don't know if I ever went past that, and only read the first volume, but I do want to continue. But I always hear that the ending, like halfway through, it gets like really bad, so I'm waiting to hear from a couple of my actual friends to see if they suggest continuing with it. But I do love this story. I think it's so unique and super fun, and the art is wonderful. And this is kind of a horror manga about a world where there are ghouls who eat people. And our main character becomes half ghoul, half human. So it is a very interesting one, and I really highly recommend the anime. Can't really recommend the manga just because I've only read the first volume, but I hear the anime follows the manga very well. I just hit myself in the glasses. Okay, now we're getting into some of my favorite shonens, and the first one is Death Note, which I feel like is a very typical one to talk about, but I do love Death Note. I read them all back to back when I got them all out from my library, and I just have 2 of the black editions. But this is a very classic shonen. Everyone knows what this is about. It's about Light, who gets a death note, and if you write someone's name in it, they die. My favorite characters are personally Mello and what's his name? N, I think. So I actually personally really enjoy like the second half of the manga, which I feel like is an unpopular opinion, but I really enjoyed this series. It's really fun, really interesting, and really like, I feel like you actually have to read into it. But yeah, these guys are my favorite. One I'm sure I do not need to talk about because everyone recommends this shonen is Full Metal Alchemist, which is by Hiromu Arakawa. This is about 2 brothers who try to do alchemy, and one of them loses his body and his soul is put into a suit of armor, and our Full Metal Alchemist, which he only has an arm and a leg that's metal, but he is trying to they were trying to bring back their mom from the dead, and it's kind of this like weirdly really sad story, but it also just gets really deep into politics and war and that kind of thing. So I personally enjoyed the first half of this manga way more than the second half, but I adore this series. So good. And of course, the #1 manga on this series that I recommend, that no one ever takes my recommendation because they're like, that's too long, is Naruto. I'm holding up volume 10 because this is the first manga volume I ever got. Ever. Which is crazy. But Naruto I started watching when I was like 7 years old, and I kept up with it right up until it ended a couple of summers ago at 500 chapters. And this is a long-ass big 3 manga anime that everyone loves, obviously. We follow a world where ninjas are the main kind of people, and people can do jutsus. So there's taijutsu, genjutsu, and ninjutsu, and it's kind of like magic, basically. That's the best way to say it, and they fight with it. And we follow Naruto, who's our main character, obviously, who is in a group with Sasuke, Sakura, and their mentor is Kakashi, and is their journey from going from beginner ninja up to the ninja war, which obviously is a long ass process. This was my favorite arc, which is the Chunin exams, which happens pretty early on. which I'm very happy about, but my favorite character is in the shonen, so, which sucks, but my favorite character is Kakuzu, so if you guys have a favorite character, tell me down below. But yes, Naruto is wonderful. It has a lot of deep meanings to it and heartfelt things, and so many people die, so many characters you just care so much about. I feel like if you are a person who loves characters, you are going to love this because you have so many characters to fall in love with. Because you got all of the different groups and all of the different people that you keep up with kind of throughout the whole thing, but also in the shonen. I keep saying shonen, I meant Shippuden. Oh, fuck, sorry, I've been talking about 30 minutes. Shippuden, you get to meet the Akatsuki members who are evil and all of that, and you get to meet, like, a ton of people's backstories, and it's awesome. If you get into Naruto, you have so much fandom stuff to have. That's all I got. Like, it's amazing. And I love it so dang much. Every single character in this damn manga and anime are my children. I love them so much, so I have to recommend this. I know not many people take my recommendation because it is so long. I think we're at like it was like 76 volumes when it ended, something like that. Yeah, something like that. So I gotta recommend Naruto. If you guys have the time and really want a long ass manga that you are gonna fall in love with every single character and then get your heart ripped out and like stomped on, this is one to try out. I really highly recommend it. It's my favorite thing in the entire damn world. Like, I fucking love Naruto. Like, I feel like people don't even believe that I love Naruto until, like, they start talking to me about Naruto, and then they're like, fuck, this girl's insane. I love Naruto. It's my favorite thing ever. I will never not talk about Naruto or appreciate Naruto things or Naruto memes or talking about Naruto. So talk to me about Naruto. But anyways, those are all of the manga that are on my shelf, as well as my favorites and ones that I recommend. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. It is way too fucking long, but I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I love you all, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye!